working moms.
Hey, working dads.
Hey, aspiring working parents.
And allies of working parents.
Are you in search of your pillow?
Does it take you 24 hours just to get out the door in the morning?
Are you the family ATM?
Or the family Uber driver?
Are you on a Zoom call for work while carpooling while also watching a practice?
If so, welcome to our world, the Parents at Work podcast.
I'm Lori.
I'm Jason.
We are married.
And we have two wild and crazy redheaded boys.
We're here to shine a light on the roller coaster ride that is working parenthood. I'm a healthcare lawyer and founder of a working parent community called Mindful Return.
And I'm an executive coach with Ready, Set, Launch, LLC. I wrote a cool book called Relationships to Infinity.
And I wrote a cool book called Back to Work After Baby.
Well, hello, everybody. Jason Levin here, co-host of the Parents at Work podcast with my talented co-host, Lori Mihalich-Levin. Good to see you again, Lori.
Good to see you again, Jason. It's good to be back in the podcasting chair.
Great to be back in the podcasting chair. We are finding ourselves in the middle of the Winter Olympics. And so in our house, there is conversations going on daily on all things Olympics. At night, we're watching the Olympics. We're losing sleep over the Olympics.
And I see you're sporting your Team USA shirt.
Yes,
so,
I got my Team USA shirt with my minions. So we are an Olympic family. Ever since we went to the Summer Games in France in 2024.
No, I'd say it goes way back before that. I mean, I was fascinated with the Olympics as a kid, for sure. I mean, particularly the ski jumping. I don't know. When I was in middle school, I really got fascinated with the ski jumpers. And then I remember we watched the Sochi Games with the kids. And there was a time when our youngest, he was little and he was pointing at the TV. And every time one of the Olympians waved at the camera, he would wave back and thought that they could see him. So I think the Olympics for us goes back well before 2024. And I'm about to have withdrawal when this thing ends in a few days.
Yes. I keep coming back to seeing all these incredible people from all these different countries that have worked so hard at their particular craft, and that's spotlighting them and their teams and their families. And what I also enjoy about it is the fact that at a moment in time, regardless of what country you're from, you're still just competing and being with others. So there's a relationship building component that I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So Lori.
Jason.
As we thematically think about the Olympics, I think there's also some Olympic opportunities in your family and work and career, as building out your own teams and coaches. Lori, what has that meant for you as you think about building out your own Olympic team?
Yeah. Well, first, before I talk about building out an Olympic team, I just have to give a shout out to the truly kick-ass working moms who have been winning medals and being there with their babies on the podium. I mean, Alana Myers-Taylor, I was definitely all weepy when she was signing to her son in American Sign Language. Mommy won! She was actually there with her two boys. And the Italian speed skater, Francesca Lola Brigada, who brought her kid up to the podium, and Kaylee Humphreys. And I mean, it's just so beautiful to see these people really embrace the idea of parenthood and sport, and the idea that they can go for their dreams. They can have dreams. They can have fantasies. I can have a fantasy that maybe one day I will ski jump. It's not too late. And be a parent at the same time. The last person I want to give a shout out to, or people rather, the team, the alpine skiers, Sarah Schlepper, who skis for Mexico, and her son, Las, who is 17. It's the first mother-son duo in the Olympics. So, I mean, there's just so much working mom love going on this year, and I love it.
And it also shows that, and something that you and I have been talking about, they're complementary. It's integrated. It's being a working mom, being a working parent makes you better. And to highlight that and showcase that on international stages is absolutely incredible.
And the fact that Alana Myers-Taylor's first person she goes and hugs is her nanny. I mean, with all respect to you as a man, can you imagine a man being like, yes, my child care providers helped me get to this spot? No, like she's really recognizing the whole team that it took for her to be able to make it to this day.
Yeah. And hearing you talk, I'm wondering, as you're thinking about the community and the people that have gotten you there, and I think that is a great launch pad as we're talking about this, that success is not done alone. How are you thinking about your own path on who's been on your team, helping you take that next step?
Yeah. So I've been thinking a lot about the coaches who are involved. It's definitely not, there's one person winning a medal. There's one person skating around the ice or going down the slope, but they have a whole team of people behind them. And I think of that expression, like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I feel like to get to the Olympics, you really have to build out your team. And so I've been thinking about all of the various ways that coaches have supported me when I've brought them in and allowed them to help in ways that have helped me to go further and farther. I'm thinking, for example, when we were in the midst of kid mental health crisis, we had a parent coach. We had someone who could help us tap into the calm and stillness that's buried somewhere deep within all the chaos, and gave us tools and skills to help us navigate because she'd seen it before. She'd seen it with other people, right? I'm thinking about the fact that I wrote my first book, Back to Work After Baby, very much as a solitary endeavor and got it out quickly. And now I'm writing a memoir with a completely different approach. I mean, I hired a memoir coach to help me get started and make the structure for it. I'm participating in a container of writers every week to sort of nurture us and keep us going. And I have a mindset coach who's helping me get my head around the idea that, yes, I can tell this story and get it out into the world. And I think it will go farther because I have this whole team behind me. The last coaching piece that I wanted to mention is that I really deeply appreciate the coaching that you and I do of each other. Last night when we were watching the Olympics, there was one skier who said that her tech team, who like got all her equipment ready, was led by her husband. And so I was like, oh, husband-wife pair getting ready for the Olympics. And what our listeners may not know is that Jason and I carve out 1 hour per month where I coach him, and then another hour per month where he coaches me. And we raise an issue that's going on in our businesses or that we're looking for another viewpoint on. And we ask each other really good questions to be able to take a next step or make a decision. So I think there's so many people who can coach us in parenthood, in work, in working parenthood. And it behooves us to listen to them and to like let them into our fold rather than trying to go at it alone.
Yeah. And as you're talking, that also begs another question. When did you recognize in your life that you didn't know everything? And when did you recognize that it was okay to ask somebody else for expertise, to ask somebody else for help, to ask for, I need this because I don't know?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for me, there are a lot of layers to it. One is I was a very serious violinist growing up. And so I knew I couldn't do the things on the violin that I wanted to. And so I really sought teachers and conductors and mentors and upper class people who could show me the ropes. And I ended up doing a lot of competing and, made it to district and regional and all state and national orchestras, but only because I think I sought out that community of help. So that was a good path, I think, for learning how to do that. I also I'll get into it more in my memoir, but there were various ways in which my parents didn't provide much by way of emotional support. And I really sought that out through the mentors, the teachers in my life who sort of stepped in. And then I think after I had our first kid, after our eldest was born, that was another pivot point for me. It was, I'm just going to figure out how to be a mom all by myself. And it turns out that didn't work out too well. And so when I decided to sort of build community and let people nurture me and help me and support me, it was a much easier path. How about for you, Jason? What are your thoughts on the people who have coached and mentored you?
Before I talk, I just want to make an observation how amazing that the violin, which oftentimes is a solitary endeavor because you're practicing.
It looks solitary.
It looks solitary, but in reality, and that's something that you taught me that I did not know. And you know very well, there's not a musical bone in my body in terms of finding the beat in music, but
listeners, we've tried really hard to get Jason to find the beat. He appreciates music, but he is not himself a musician or someone who can find the rhythm. But it's okay. We love him for all the other reasons.
But for all the listeners out there that might not have had a music upbringing, music is community. Music is a team sport. And how amazing that you've found that knee-jerk reaction from learning the violin into parenthood, into other areas of your life. I think for me, there were a couple of areas early on where asking for help was really useful. First was my bar mitzvah. When I think about, we have our youngest son going through his. Lori is also going to be called to the Torah as well, which I think is amazing. And there's a certain amount of practice that goes with having an accountability partner on how to read a text in a certain way that was done thousands of years ago. And there's a certain confidence you build with going with somebody that is an expert. I played high school football, and there are all these different coaches that could give you feedback on how to do a particular thing better and improve. And then I translated that into...
Wait. Are you going to tell them what number you were in high school on the football team?
I was 6'7". I was 6'7".
Back before 6'7" was 6'7".
I was 6'7". And so I finally found that photo. We'll have to add the LinkedIn post to the show notes on this. And I think where I started to translate that into like career and life is I had a babysitting business in high school. And I was babysitting for all different types of people, doctors and lawyers and executives. And I started going to them with, well, how did you get to where you are? What did that look like? And they started to give me ideas and advice. And my first real office job was as a file clerk at a law firm. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. If I ask for advice from other people that know things, good things happen.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from.
The Parents at Work podcast is proudly supported by two programs, Mindful Return and Ready, Set, Launch. For the past decade, Mindful Return has helped working parents succeed both at home and at work. If you're an employer, you know how much it costs to recruit a talented employee. Let Mindful Return help you avoid those high turnover and recruitment costs. With our asynchronous group programs for new parents, we help you retain your new parent colleagues who are returning to work after parental leave. We partner with over 100 employers and have proven retention data. Learn more and sign up for a free program demo at www.mindfulreturn.com/4-employers. That's www.mindfulreturn.com/4-employers.
For more than 12 years, Ready, Set, Launch has been empowering high-performing executives, attorneys, and consultants to achieve their career and business goals. Are you looking to grow your professional services practice, engage your valuable networks, or advance your own career? Turn to Ready, Set, Launch for our interactive keynotes, engaging trainings in both group and one-on-one coaching. We partner with Fortune 500 companies, AmLaw 100 law firms, global executive search firms, and professional and trade associations, among others. Learn more at www.readysetlaunch.net. That's www.readysetlaunch.net.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue into the topic of parenthood as a team sport too. And I know you have built out teams of caregivers and babysitters for us. So tell us about that, Jason, the team building there.
Yeah, and I think that for those that are listening where they are lucky enough to be living in a city where they're close to family, how amazing is that they can do those things. And so that is not our situation. We have a set of family that's in New Jersey. We have a set of family that's in North Carolina. We had another set of family in Pennsylvania. And so we had to go through all these different other types of calculations. And I know there's certain families that bring in a nanny or au pair, and we considered that. And so as we were talking, I was like, we need like all different kinds of help because kids don't raise themselves. And we had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and it was just hard for two working parents. So having been a babysitter myself, I was like, all right, let's build out a babysitting team. And as someone who loves baseball, I mean, we got the Nationals winning the World Series in 2019. I began to see babysitting recruitment like a farm system, and so for those that don't follow baseball, there are professional leagues before you get to the major league. And within the professional leagues, there's single A, double A, triple A, and the majors. And I was like, well, what if we looked at a continuum of help long-term? And so we started bringing in these helpers who were 9 and 10 and 11 years old while we were in the house to see if they worked well with our kids. And that's like the single A. It's like, all right, they can't do that much, but they can be present and we can have another set of hands with them. And we even brought some to the grocery store and on events just to have like another set of hands with somebody.
And note, our 13-year-old or almost 13-year-old is now doing that sort of parent helping for other families. And he's loving it. It's a chance to earn money. He's learning the skills of caretaking and understanding how hard it is to hang out with 4 and 5-year-olds sometimes.
Exactly. And it's been a learning experience for him. How amazing. He's like, was I that difficult when I was younger? Kids don't listen. Our 13-year-old. Our kids don't listen.
He's
Really?
like, Mommy, they keep saying I'm bored. Did I ever say that? I'm like, dude, you said that last week.
And so how amazing that our son is being able to continue on that level, which is fantastic. I think that after you go from single A, you go to double A. And double A is the 11 to 13-year-olds where they can have more responsibility. You might be able to take them out somewhere. You might be able to do other types of things with them. And then you go to triple A where it's 13 to 15 or 13 to 16, where you actually can leave the house, where you actually can go on a date, where you can actually interact with your wonderful spouse outside without your kids. And finding the major leaguers are usually the ones that drive. And so we were often using our own daycare teachers and brought them into our house to help. And I treated, when the kids were younger, filling the babysitting bench as a monthly activity. And I think too often when we think of babysitting, we only think of, young women or young girls. I treated it, well, why don't we bring in boys too? Because they could be very helpful and useful too. And so over the years, it was always about, all right, who can we call? And then my friends were asking me, Jason, I would always talk about the babysitting bench. Who would you recommend?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for all the parents that are trying to figure this out, here's some ideas on where you might look. First and foremost, if you're going to a place of worship, ask the priest or the rabbi, the imam, Who are the young kids that you think are responsible? Could be right in your own community. There might be a college or a university near where you are. I bet those that are studying early childhood education, those that are studying psychology would be useful. Those that are in the clubs and organizations of that university. High school students, they're all around. And so I think it's just a matter of beginning that outreach and starting that conversation. So,
yeah, we had a high schooler, maybe late middle school, early high schooler on our street who we just approached and he said, "Hey, is this something you might want to do?" And the kid came over for a couple of hours and, you just try it out. You're not committing to some long-term relationship with the person. You're just having a little experiment where you see if they enjoy the activity and your kids enjoy them and see if they want to come back, right? It doesn't have to be any sort of permanent arrangement just to test folks out.
Yeah, because it needs to work both for the parents and that person, and the kids need to feel like they enjoy that person also. Yeah, and all it is an invitation into the house. It's not any long-term commitment.
Yeah, I wanted to raise sort of from a practical perspective 2 different times that we have brought in help that you might not have thought about. One is when one of us would go on work travel when the kids were really little, the other person would bring in a parent helper or someone just to help with bed and bath time in the evening. Because, I had somebody say to me, "It's so hard to get both kids bath and bed all by myself when they're so little." And my answer to that is, it may not be that you have to do it alone. We're also not talking about super high expenses if you're talking about having just an extra set of hands of a teenager who might live down the street, right? The other thing that did have a bigger price tag, but that because we did it so rarely, it was okay, was to have one of our daycare teachers come and spend the weekend with the kids while we went to one of my friends' weddings, or we went for my 40th birthday somewhere. So there are other opportunities once you have grown and established trust with people to be able to bring them in for various things where you need help, maybe because you don't have family nearby.
And I think what was really helpful in those examples is that we already had that weekly checklist. We had the Saturday basket. We can put that in the show notes, where we sat down and we looked at, all right, what did we need that week? And any time that either you were going out of town or I was going out of town, or if there was an evening event, our knee-jerk reaction is, all right, let's bring somebody else in. Let's make sure that we have someone from the team that is coming off the bench to help.
Yeah. And so if you were on Jason's babysitter roster in his phone, you were probably going to hear from him on Saturday night when we did that weekly meeting. So they sort of knew to expect us at that time.
And I think for you, how did you feel, Lori, how did you feel when you would go on these trips knowing that I wasn't alone?
Oh, it definitely relieved anxiety on my part to be like, okay, well, I don't really have to worry. They're going to be fine. And it relieved a lot of anxiety on my part when you were gone and there was another person with me, even if it was just for a couple of hours, helping get everybody situated before closing down at night. So definite anxiety reducer for sure.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Now that we've had that, I keep coming back to how amazing is it that our youngest son is doing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Following in Dad's footsteps. And Mom's too. I did a ton of babysitting when I was a kid as well.
Yeah. And you were talking about anxiety and mental health. As we think about the Olympics, I also wanted to give a shout out to the wonderful conversation between Simone Biles and Mihalich-Levin, where both of them have been very open about their own mental health struggles and how they've brought in people to help them work with that. And they've been able at multiple points in their own career to take a step back and then come back in. And so as you're talking about that was one of my favorite moments of the Olympics, was seeing two wonderful people that are best in class talk about mental health and how they've addressed that and brought in experts. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of your team needs to be how are you caring not only for your physical health and your craft or your sport, but also your mental health. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, Jason. So back to the Olympics.
Yes.
I've already proudly proclaimed that I want to ski jump one day. Why? Because I looked up all the criteria for, what makes a good ski jumper. And I think I fit the bill. Like, you have to be flexible. I do yoga. You have to be able to hold a pose for a while, right? While you're sort of flying through the air. You have to have sort of a smaller build, which I do. And you have to be not afraid of heights, which I am not. So like one day, one of these ski jumping places, either in Norway or Utah or New York, I'm coming for you. I don't know when or where, but I read an article about a 61-year-old guy who learned how to ski jump, so I don't think it's too late. Jason, what sport would you try? What Olympic winter sport would you throw yourself into just for the heck of it if you were given the option?
Well, as you're talking about jumping through the air, I'm like, I'd love to do curling. But I have always wanted, I've been skiing since I was 9 years old. And I grew up in northern New Jersey. I learned to ski in the Poconos at Camelback. I've always just wanted to try what it feels like to go through a gate. We've seen the slalom. We've seen the giant slalom. And when I see them wearing all of their pads and things.
Plastic protectors, yes.
Yeah, for the slalom. I've always wanted to hit the thing and pivot the pole. And I'm sure we can arrange
for that somehow, Jason.
To get a slalom coach and just play with that.
Yeah.
So that's something that I would want to try.
I think it's really important in working parenthood, where we talk so much about our children and how we're nurturing them and how we're caring for them and how we're feeding them and how we're cleaning them and how we're dressing them, that we also think about our own fantasies, dreams, things we want to do too. So,
in hearing you talk about leaning into what we want as parents, I was thinking of that wonderful Japanese skating team, Riko Miura and Ryuichi Kiara, that were favored to win gold coming in. And in that first series they did,
the short program,
he made a mistake.
He dropped her almost.
And here's a team that was favored, and they're fifth in the program after the first day. And then the second day, they skated their hearts out, and they won gold. And hearing them talk afterwards, they skated like they had nothing to lose. And I find that imagery and what they said so wonderful for us as parents. It's like, well, we've been doing all these things for our kids. What if we were to do something like we had nothing to lose? So Lori's going to go ski jumping.
We'll see about that.
But I think there's an opportunity for each of us to remind ourselves that we can do something with nothing to lose and to go after it with gusto.
I love that. Yeah. Maybe as we close out our conversation, we can end with a tip that is, you don't have to be a fancy pants person to get a ticket to an Olympic event.
Yeah.
In the spirit of nothing to lose, there are 2 Olympic Games that are coming up in the United States in the next however many years, right? We've got the LA Games and then the Salt Lake Games. And we also have one in France. And a few years ago, Jason and I were talking about, when is the next Olympics and where is it? We discovered it was in France, and a little pop-up showed up on my phone that said, enter here to win, the lottery for being able to buy tickets directly. And I just put my email address on that list and forgot about it for 2 years. And then one day I got the email. It was actually Mother's Day a couple of years ago. I got the email and it said, congratulations, you've won a lottery draw time and you can now go in and buy tickets. not on the secondary market where they're marked up a gazillion dollars, but like that first round where they're the base price of the ticket. And so I guess I want to close with the tip that if you have any dream of going to an Olympic event, and maybe you have friends who live in the LA area and who can put you up for a few days, I mean, consider it. Consider just going and dropping your name onto that lottery list and see what happens. It's entirely possible.
I love how you're talking about the possibilities, not just for the Olympics, but also for the Paralympics. So
Yes.
those are opportunities, both depending on scheduling, that are in front of all of us.
That's a great reminder. Yeah.
Yeah, because each Olympics has a Paralympics that follows it.
Which is always so impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
the things that people are able to do. You
Yeah.
reminded me that maybe what will get me out of my Olympic withdrawal next week is finding some of the Paralympic coverage, which will
Yes.
go on for a couple of weeks afterward.
I'm totally going to watch the Paralympic coverage because what they're able to do is incredible. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
Awesome.
So, Lori Mihalich-Levin, you are my Olympic partner,
Oh, shucks.
and I appreciate you as the co-host of the Parents at Work podcast. And it's so wonderful that we can talk about our love of the Olympics and how we try to bring that into our lives every day.
Indeed. It's been fun. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you,
Catch you
Lori.
next time.